Hi guys, welcome back to Si's World of Koi. So since my last video I took delivery of the polypropylene sheet, and I've put the lid, the top on the Backy shower. It's the support struts that I'd put in previously on the bottom tier for the to support the top tier. I did a bit of a schoolboy error and went to pick up the whole unit with those support struts, but I picked up one end and a bit sort of hastily, and yeah, really just it just came away. The weld came away. Now I know on those two support struts I'd use some a different welding rod, and while I've been picking them up previously with those supports, it gave way. It's been sitting out there all winter, all summer, but yeah, all I've got to do is re-weld them together to the main frame of it, and get it done. But I was just about to do that and realised that I haven't ordered enough welding rods, so another order going through. Kicking myself really, because got everything set up in the garden to start cutting out for the channel for the blade on the bottom of the Backy shower, and didn't have any welding rods, so hey ho, had to put it all back in the garage, and I thought I'd put a different video together. So I came into the YouTube bit really late on, and didn't really do it to gain like hundreds and hundreds of subscribers and viewers, just a bit to sort of show really what I was doing, and but I did it all arse about face really, because I did the pond build and then decided to do a YouTube channel. So but what I thought I would do is just do a shortish video about how I went about planning the pond, materials I used, whether I did fiberglass or liner, just the different decisions that I took into account. And I did quite a bit of planning, I must admit. I did it sort of took me back to my old school days when 30 years ago, where I was doing graphics and design, and I still had my graphics and design, my drawing board and that, so and my rulers, so that came out, and then I found my scale rule, which was handy, and yeah, so I did a few sketches and a few plans, which I thought I'd just quickly show you guys. I had a rough idea of what I wanted in my head, but yeah, that was one of my drawings. Got the bottom drain in there. You can see I put in the hardcore base, which and then the concrete base with the bottom drain going up to, it looks like an easy pod there. I think actually at the time of this drawing I was actually going to use an easy pod, so yeah, because that looks like more like an easy pod than the Nexus I've got now. Then you've got the center line, which is the line, basically the ground level. So yeah, that's one of my drawings. Yeah, it's wasn't too bad. Then I did. I then sort of decided to go down the Nexus route. I thought, well, it's going to be it went from let's do a small pond to actually, I'm going to do a big pond, especially when I built it when COVID had hit, and yeah, supplies were you know, hard to get hold of. Oh, nice cup of tea. Anyway, yes. So I changed from the initial plan of having a easy pod to going overkill and having a Nexus. You know, my pond's not massive. It's probably 3 meters by. Well, let's have a look on here. Yeah, it's 3 meters by 1.5 meters. Internal measurements, that is. So it's not huge. I think it's about 5,500 litres. But, you know, some people might say that the Nexus is way too big for it. But I'd rather be over-filtered than under-filtered. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to have, you know, had the nightmare of saying, oh, I should have gone for a bigger filter. You know, we all have a budget. And I know the Nexuses weren't cheap. You know, I've got a good deal on it, brand new. But when you're spending that sort of money, you know, if I'd have bought an Easy Pod and then thought, actually, I'm really not happy with it, it's just been another lot of expense. I wouldn't have sold it for what I wanted, and yeah, anyhow. So yeah, I did some more plans. As you can see here, I've got sort of 2 drawings here. I've got the front view, this one, as you're looking at the pond itself. All of this has all been done to scale. You've got your ground line here with your Nexus, or my Nexus. All the block work in, the block's all to scale. And this is an existing wall of my garden flower bed, and then it comes in. Basically, I've got my block work here on flat, and my bottom drain going off to my Nexus. That was one of the other drawings, and then finally, this was, I think, the final drawing, pretty much, which I used to base all my the build on. And you know, when you're doing it to scale, it's always a little bit of a worry when you're doing footings and groundwork, which I've never ever done before. Don't get me wrong, I work in an office, but I've learned a hell of a lot from my dad over the years, and it's been valuable. And I just wish that my boys had shown interest and helped me out doing this, because they you know, you just learn a lot from your parents, especially if they're in the building game. And you know, I would never have thought I could build a pond, especially to what I've done. Never laid block work before. Tell a lie, the wall that I'd put on the year before, that was my first lot of block work. So it did give me the sort of confidence to carry on and go ahead with a pond build and do the block work myself. So but let's show you this last drawing. This is the final drawing that I've done. So you've got here, it's pretty similar to what you've seen. That's there, and then that's the final one, with the 3 inches of hardcore that was tampered down, and then I've got an 8-inch base, all reinforced with steel. And yeah, you dig the hole and you think, wow, this is absolutely huge. And the wife was like, you know, the garden's gone, half of the garden's gone. But I kept saying to her, you know, it looks bigger than it's gonna actually be, because once you backfill it all, and the block work comes up and the grass goes back over and you know, up to the wall, it won't look as bad, but it's always gonna look a lot worse than it before it looks better. So I went for 3 inches of type 2 hardcore, and that was all tampered down. And then I went for an 8-inch 8-inch base, because I went for the Spindrifter. It's quite big, and I've gone full reinforcement mesh in that. And yeah, fingers crossed, touch wood, I don't think that should be going anywhere. 8 inches is you know, probably, you know, ample to take quite a lot, excuse me. So when I looked at the block work, I think I worked it out that there was going to be 270 odd blocks, and at the time, as I say, you know, we was in lockdown, or it just, you know, it was things were hard to get hold of, but yeah, I got them. The decision was whether I got a concrete company in to pump in the base or do it by hand. I borrowed my brother's cement mixer, and then got my brother and my dad round, and we sort of worked knocking it all up, and we got it done. We got it done in a sort of in a day, and yeah, well pleased. And then with me, it was just a case of doing all the block work myself. I think I've put on a previous video of mine, I have put on a montage of all the photos that I took throughout the pond build. So I took quite a lot. I might put some up on this video. Excuse me if you can hear, it's the dog's chewing a toy, so if you can hear something, that's what it is. Yeah, so it is really essential that you do the planning, especially if you're building it yourself. There's a lot of taking into consideration. You know, the materials, what you're going to use, whether you're going to go bottom drain, if you're going to do a bottom drain, what sort of pipe work you're going to use. Are you going to go pressure or not? You know, I went pressure pipe. It was just, it was a no-brainer. I know it's more expensive, but you know, the last thing you want to do is have the issue of you know, buying soil pipe or whatever, and it just not taking the load. And yeah, that'd just be a nightmare, wouldn't it? So if you're going to spend out, and you know, I haven't spent thousands and thousands, you know, don't get me wrong, this is nothing like what Lee you know, Hadfield has done. You know, it's he's an amazing job. You know, or the Koi Whisperer, it's nowhere near in that price range. Mine probably comes to about 5, I reckon. Yeah, so yeah, it's all pressure pipe, and I did all the pipe work myself. Everything I've done, the whole job I've done myself, apart from the fiberglassing. I went fiberglassing. I did consider whether to go liner, but and I was going to go liner, probably a box liner at the time. But I had issues with me garage roof one year, just before doing the pond, and I had it fiberglassed. And the guy who did the fiberglassing used to do ponds back in years ago, and he said, I'll still do them. So because he'd done my garage roof, he gave me a nice price, and yeah, I'm just so glad I went that route. It's amazing to watch them work, how they do it, and yeah, hats off to them. Just got to make sure, if you are going down a fiberglass route, that you cover. I had a marquee that I borrowed from my dad, one of these garden marquees, a big huge thing, and yeah, it just keep the water out, and yeah, it's so glad I went down that route of fiberglass. Brilliant. Then you've also got to take into consideration your returns, and you know, number of inlets that you coming back into the pond, where you're going to situate them. Do you have a skimmer? there's all sorts of different things to take into consideration. I'm a beginner to it, really. I've had ponds in the past, but they've just been sort of little goldfish ponds. Always wanted one with a bottom drain, and I've eventually got it, and I'm so pleased with it. The other things to consider as well is location of the pond. Mine's in a garden which is in full sun. I couldn't get around it. It had to go, things I've got in the garden, it had to go where it had to go. I dug it all out by hand, or started to, and then the wife said you've got to get a mini digger in, because it's like, we're in Essex, so it's quite heavy clay soil. Had a mate who had a hire company, 60 quid for the weekend, a little mini digger, and it was a no-brainer. I didn't, I've got it, thanks to him, I got a great price on it, so it made light work of it. Skips are another thing that you've got to take into consideration. The soil's got to go somewhere. I'd built this retaining wall in the garden to keep my Labrador off the flower beds, because he kept killing the plants. So I built a raised wall, and most of my soil went behind the wall. So that was it. It sort of cushioned it, but I still had 2 or 3 skips. It's surprising what crap you get through, and what also you may discover underground. I dug down about 1.5 feet and hit concrete, and it went the full length of the pond, and it was just, you sort of think, oh, what next? And I was humming and hawing whether to relocate it, but there was an old pathway that when this house was first built, I think the original owners in the 60s had built this pathway and just buried it. So I had to break all that up, which was more knackering, more time, and more rubble in a skip. But these things are here to test us. I didn't let it bother me. I just cracked on with it. It is what it is at the end of the day. It's it was all coming together. As I say, it's talking about location. So the location's full sun. That's one reason why I didn't go window. Do I regret not going window? People have asked me, why didn't you put a window in? I would have put a window. And I said, it is in full sun, so that would have been constantly being cleaned. I do wish I had a window, but I think I would have been cleaning it every day or every other day to just keep the because it had been in full sun. So I decided against it. And there was a budget aspect to it as well. It wasn't a bottomless pit. Bottomless pond, bottomless pit. It wasn't, an endless budget. I had, my budget was my budget, and so that was perhaps another reason that I took into consideration. But if you can do it, go for it. It's nothing better than watching the fish swim past a nice window. Anyway, so what else did I? The other thing was drainage as well, because obviously I've gone for a Nexus 220, and I have got a drain nearby, and but the previous owners had loads of Yorkstone paving laid, and I was going to take up a couple of the slabs and run the pipe work down, but the pond was big enough. There's only so much that the wife was going to take, and she said, "You're not digging up those paving slabs." So there is a drain down there, just near it, so literally I just put a pipe on the end of when I'm dropping the Nexus on each week. I drop it, I put a pipe in and literally open the valve, and it runs down to the drain. It's no problem at all. You know, it's fine. Also as well, other things to consider is a purge drain. So I've got my 4-inch pressure pipe from the bottom drain coming up, and I've got it teed off, and I've got 2 4-inch ball valves, one to stop it going into the Nexus, to shut off the Nexus to isolate that, and then the next one I've got a TP, and I've got it coming off the end, and I've just connected a little piece of 4-inch pipe, and when I need to purge it, I just literally open it up and let it go down the drain. And it is amazing how much shit you do get in the bottom of the drain. I know I had quite a bit of blanket weed last year, which I treated with clover leaf, and it got rid of it. But I did have one of these thermometers with, you know, like the little rubber suckers that hold the little the little device that takes the temperature that's in the pond, and that was stuck to the side of the wall. Well, that had come off, so the probe was just sort of loose in the pond. Anyway, I did a purge the other day, and I opened it up, bang, closed it, because it literally, a 4-inch pipe, it's surprising how quick that water comes out, and the pressure. Opened it again, and it floods all the patio, but it does all goes down the drain. And then when the water drained away, what did I find? The little sucker that holds it to the side of the pond. So it had eventually found its way into the centre, down the bottom drain, and the purge shot it out. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that. Yeah, so what else have I got to discuss? So I can see here in my drawing, I did draw my backy shower. So that was one that I was going to buy before I went out and bought the plastic welding kit and that. So that's where my backy shower is going to go. You also have to consider where you're going to put your inlets. I think I mentioned this earlier. Where you're going to put your return pipes and your skimmer, if you're going to go skimmer. I haven't got loads of trees around me, but it's surprising how much crap does go on the surface. Even things like bird feathers, you know, bloody pigeons around here. So I went for my return pipes, actually come in, you can see here, so they're coming off the Nexus. I've got one return pipe there and one there, and I've got them a quarter of the way down from the surface of the pond, and my skimmer has gone in here. So here's my backy shower, is going to go in here, I think. I might put it there, and my skimmer's there. So at the moment my skimmer's coming back into a blade which I've got here, which you'd have seen on the videos anyway. So yeah, I wanted my return pipes at this end purely because my skimmer's at the other end. So my sort of thought process was, if the skimmer's sucking stuff in off the surface, drawing stuff in, if I have it where my return pipes are, then in one way I'm asking it to blow the water that way, but then on another way I'm asking it to suck to get the surface. So it didn't quite work in my head. So I thought, if I have them the inlets at one end, and then it's pushing the water, the current will go round towards the skimmer at the other end. So that was my thinking behind it. Other things to consider are, you know, if you want to take out fines, and I know I've got fines and I need to. I'm going to put. Hopefully, once I get my backy shower up and running, that will reduce a lot of it. But I'm going to go for a Tempest as well, and I'm probably not sure whether to put that in between the Nexus and the pond, or whether to put it between the skimmer and the backy shower. I'm thinking more after the Nexus and then into before the returns into the pond. So I'll probably go down that route. But what do you think, guys? You can put a comment and give me some suggestions. I'm always open to suggestions. What would be the better option? Aesthetics wise, when I get the filter house done, if it's after the skimmer, after the Nexus, I could then fit it inside the filter house. If I do it after the skimmer before the backy shower, it's probably going to be on the side of the fence or somewhere. It ain't going to work. It's not going to work, is it? So I think I've made the decision myself there. So all these things you have to consider, but I think that will reduce the fines. I know Koi Fish Johnny's put a Tempest in, and he raves about it. So yeah, that was the plan. But what else was there that I was gonna chat about? Yeah, so that was my returns. Same, my backy shower was going to go on where my blade is at the moment, and I think that will really help reduce. I've got clear water. It's not too bad. Some days are better than others, but on majority it's clear. You see the bottom all the time. But I've got to finish the copings on it. That was another thing. And also, one thing I would say is as well, when if you are deciding to go down the blockwork route, don't forget to tie in your blocks, every now and again. So make sure that you're using tyres in between blockworks, just to try and alleviate any movement and any potential cracking. And use perhaps a plasticide in the cement. So yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I am going to do, which I said on the other videos, is I'm going to put a pergola over it next year, and that's going to help alleviate a bit of the blanket weed, I suppose. Provide a bit of shade, also have a nice bit of lighting underneath it. Then I can perhaps incorporate some panels at the back of it, in front of the fence, and yeah, just sort of finish it off. I know I've got to do the copings, which I've got. I just need to cut down and fit them in. But yeah, it's that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you the designs, and just for people out there that are thinking about it. It is a daunting task, but it's all in the planning. Just don't rush into it. Just make sure that you do your planning before you should put the spade in the ground. And it is going to cost. It is so expensive, but you can keep to a reasonable budget. As I say, mine was, I kept mine down, and doing all the work yourself. If you're prepared to break your back and lose some weight, I worked so bloody hard in the summer digging it out and doing all this block work. Yeah, it was nice of the neighbour to turn over, to lean out the window and say, "Oh, you lost weight, didn't you?" So, cheers, love, thanks. I didn't know I was a fat bastard. Anyway, yeah, got to love your neighbours. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, if people are going to do it, you won't regret it. It's just take your time, make sure you plan it properly, and and it's easy to get carried away and blow the budget, which I did. But well, there was nothing else to do in lockdown, so you know, build me a pond. I've got no regrets. It is lovely, and hoping to really reap the rewards of it this year. Now that it's all it's nearly done. You know, it's just the last little push. But anyway, I hope you liked the video, guys. Sorry if it was a bore and you didn't, you probably fell asleep now, but you can wake up. I'll do another video soon, and that will be finishing the backy shower, getting that done. I've got to buy all the media still, which, yeah, that's yeah, I've got to actually, I'm going to go on Amazon now and order some welding rods. So hope you like the channel. Please give me a thumbs up, I do really appreciate it. If you could like the video, any comments or any questions, please feel free to drop them down below, and take care and all the best. Speak soon. Bye bye.